weekend update. The LSU Tigers have the number 1 quarterback, running back, and wide receiver in the 2025 recruiting class, according to On3.com. LSU head coach Brian Kelly hired a new defensive coordinator, Blake Baker. The men's basketball team went on the road and defeated Texas A&M 68-53, breaking A&M's 12-game conference winning streak at Reed Arena. The women's basketball team improved their 15-game win streak with an 84-73 win at Ole Miss on Sunday. The number 3 ranked Gymnastics squad opened the season with a big win over the 14th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. And lastly, the men's tennis team had a fantastic day 2 of the Miami Invite. The Tigers had 7 singles wins and 2 doubles wins, with freshman Rudy Chekon beating the former top junior player in the world in 2022 from the University of Texas, Gila Arno-Bailey. This is Camryn Conner, your host with Tiger Rag Audible's podcast, and before I jump into all the news surrounding LSU from this past weekend, here's a message from one of our sponsors.
It's your time to move things forward. U.S. Army Reserve.
It was a big weekend for basketball at LSU. Saturday night on ESPN, Coach Mac McMahon's LSU Tigers completely dominated and pushed past a heavily favored Texas A&M team and won 68-53 on the road. It was Mac McMahon's first ever SEC road win, and now that Jalen Cook is back, LSU appears to be a completely new and improved team. These players match strength for strength with a team that won 15 of its conference games last season and a team that came within a smidgen of winning the regular season championship and were also a preseason favorite to win the title this year. According to ESPN, the Aggies were an 11.5-point favorite and had an 89% chance of defeating the Tigers. It's safe to say that January 6, 2024, this men's basketball team played an unforgettable game. The last time LSU outscored an SEC opponent by 17 or more points in the second half on their home court was February 26, 2005 at Auburn. LSU outmuscled, outplayed, outshot, outdefended, outhustled, and most importantly, outrebounded Texas A&M, who just happened to be the nation's number 1 offensive rebounding team. The Tigers trailed 32-30 at halftime despite having outshot and outrebounded Texas A&M in the first half. However, they opened the second half on an 8-0 run, took the lead at 33-32 with 18 minutes and 26 seconds left in the game, and never looked back. LSU never trailed again. Jordan Wright led LSU with 20 points and 10 rebounds, his first double-double of the season, and Jalen Cook added 13 points, including 2 key three-pointers as LSU won on the road in the SEC for the first time since February 8, 2022. LSU's SEC home opener is on Tuesday when it plays Vanderbilt at 8 p.m. on the SEC Network. The women's basketball team also had a good weekend after opening conference play with the win against Missouri Tigers last Thursday, 92-72. Kim Mulkey's Tigers went on the road to Oxford and weathered a third-quarter storm from Ole Miss to secure an 84-73 victory. It was the 15th consecutive win for LSU. LSU's 84 points of offensive output came against Ole Miss's 12th-ranked defense, which was only allowing 52.4 points per game. LSU shot 47% from the field and 61.5% from three-point range. LSU's 8 three-pointers against the Rebels matched a season high. With freshman guard Michaela Williams staying calm during her first SEC road game, her 20-point outing was a crucial part of this LSU victory. after the number 7 Tigers lost the handle on a 13-point halftime lead and trailed by a point midway through the first quarter. The Parade All-American came up with a steal, stepped back to the three-point line, and dropped in her 4th three-pointer to extend the Tigers' leads. All 5 starters at LSU scored in double figures. First-team All-American forward Angel Reese led the way with a team-high 21 points, grabbed 9 rebounds, handed out 4 assists, and had 4 steals. And like I said, Williams reached the 20-point plateau for the 7th time this season with 20 points, including 4 three-pointers and 4 steals. Sophomore Flau'jae Johnson had 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocked shots, while point guard Haley Van Lith and Anissa Morrow each added 13. After the game, Coach Mulkey said that she liked the offensive scoring balance, but this was still far from a finished product. The women's basketball team will be playing Texas A&M on Thursday, January 11th at 7 p.m. inside the PMAC, or you can catch it on the SEC network. Now turning to LSU football, the pieces for an elite LSU football program are continuing to align just right. LSU's 2025 recruiting class jumped to number 1 overall nationally with the commitment of its highest-ranked recruit ever, 5-star quarterback Bryce Underwood from Michigan. With Underwood's commitment, LSU now has commitments from the number 1 quarterback, number 1 running back, and number 1 wide receiver in the 2025 class. Underwood passed for 3,329 yards and 41 touchdowns and added 7 more rushing touchdowns and 199 rushing yards this past season. And the big question that everyone was wondering about last week was who will be LSU's new defensive coordinator. After firing previous LSU defensive coordinator Matt House, head coach Brian Kelly has hired Blake Baker for the job. After 2 years as the defensive coordinator, Matt House led the second to worst defense in the SEC, a defense that gave up an average of over 460 yards per game. The news and sports director of the Louisiana Radio Network, Jeff Palermo, sits down with the editor of Tiger Rag, Todd Horn, for a quick word about LSU's new defensive coordinator, Blake Baker.
Blake Baker will be LSU's defensive coordinator next season. Baker replaces Matt House, who was LSU's defensive coordinator for 2 seasons. The 2023 Tigers defense ranked among the worst in the country. Tiger Rag editor Todd Horn says Baker gets credit for turning around a bad Missouri defense, and he'll try to do the same at LSU.
Likes to run a cover 3. You're talking about primarily zone with a free safety and 2 cornerbacks. It's going to be a 3-4 approach with a safety in the box to stop the run. The whole idea is to cut down on the big plays, which gashed LSU all this year. I believe that's what Kelly's thinking, and I think that's what he's banking on.
LSU needed a defensive coordinator that has a track record to improve defenses and bring defenses back from the brink of social media execution. Another thing that LSU and head coach Brian Kelly have continuously brought up is the importance of connections. Connections to Brian Kelly himself, connections to the coaching staff, to the players, to LSU, connections to the whole state of Louisiana, and Blake Baker fits this criteria. After being at Mizzou the last few years, Blake Baker has decided to come back home to LSU. Baker helped Missouri's defense improve from the 106th ranked unit in 2021 to the 33rd ranked total defense in 2023 and was a key component in the Missouri Tigers' 11-win season, including a Cotton Bowl victory against the Ohio State Buckeyes, which is unusual for Missouri to go to the Cotton Bowl, having only appeared in this bowl game 4 times before. Baker graduated from Tulane and played football at Tulane, coached Louisiana Tech from 2014 to 2018, came to LSU in 2021 as the linebackers coach under Coach O, will now be back at LSU starting in the 2024 season, and his 3-year deal is expected to pay Baker $2.5 million per year. This makes him the highest paid assistant in college football. Coach Kelly still hasn't named the offensive coordinator. Current quarterbacks coach Joe Sloan is a candidate, and many believe that he will be named. Also, Cortez Hankton, LSU's wide receiver coach, is a candidate for this position. Stay tuned to TigerRag.com for more updates. To start with gymnastics, inside the PMAC, number 3 LSU beat number 14 Ohio State by a score of 196.975 for the Tigers and 196.775 for the Buckeyes. With the second largest home opener crowd, the last time LSU opened the season with the win against a ranked opponent was in 2021 when these ladies took down number 15 Arkansas. The night was highlighted by all-arounder senior Haley Bryant, who took home vault and all-around titles on the night, and freshman Amari Drayton, who had an impressive debut on vault and floor in her first competition as a Tiger. Haley Bryant made history on Friday night when she secured the all-around title for the meet with her score of 39.675. Bryant now owns 62 wins, and this ties her with Ashley Nat and Jennifer Woods at 8th for the most career titles in school history. The Tigers will continue their climb on Saturday, January 13th, as they compete in the Sprouts Farmers Market Collegiate Quad against Oklahoma, UCLA, and Utah in the Maverick Center in Utah at 3 p.m. Central. And unless you plan on traveling to watch these ladies, you can watch all the fun on ABC. And lastly, the LSU tennis team in the Miami Invite, freshman Rudy Chekon beat Gila Arno-Bailey from the University of Texas, who was rated as the top junior player in the world in 2022, beating him 6-2, 7-6. And LSU senior George Stute defeats Pierre-Yves Bailey from the University of Texas 3-6, 6-4, and 6-2.
The East Baton Rouge Library says this is the year to invest in you. The library brings value by connecting you to information, resources, materials, technology, and experiences. We make a positive difference in your life. All you need is your library card. Stop by one of our 14 locations, open 7 days a week, or find us online at ebrpl.com.
All right, that's it for today's episode. This is Camryn Conner, your host with Tiger Rag Audible's podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. As a reminder, the men's basketball team will be making another appearance this Tuesday against Vanderbilt at LSU inside the PMAC and on the SEC network. The women's basketball team is set to tip off against Texas A&M at 7 p.m. on Thursday inside the PMAC as well and on the SEC network. And the gymnastics team will be competing this Saturday, January 13th at 3 p.m. on ABC. Expect more updates on this LSU football coaching situation as that story develops. Check with TigerRag.com for updates on the situation, any news regarding the transfer portal, and all things LSU sports. I'll be back with you later this week with more news.